So today with us on Stool Talk, we're honored to have with us longtime friend of the family. His family has always been close to me. And his story, his journey is one that I looked at, I seen, and it's just resilience in it. Even to see, what we'll talk about now, what he has going on, but just seeing. First, I want to say thanks for your service. Today we have with us Mr. Himaiya Lowery. How you doing today?
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it. This is
Yeah, man, I
huge.
appreciate you too, man. So what was it like for you growing up, man? I heard growing up that you were focused, you had your mind on straight of kind of what you wanted to do. Was it always like that? Did you adapt that? Where did that come from?
It got to the family values and stuff, because I played sports when I was little, all the
Okay.
way through middle school to high school. I just kept playing sports. So, the coaches, they give you a discipline foundation, and then your family put another foundation on you too by saying if you don't get good grades and stuff like that, you can't play. And then once you get to high school, you gotta keep those grades up. So that's one thing for the kids. If
Yeah.
y'all playing sports, y'all gotta get good grades, right? When you're getting recruited, if you didn't get good grades in high school, what makes you think a college coach is gonna think you're gonna turn it around when you get to the college level? So you're already losing your chance to be recruited right there.
Yeah. Now, before we continue, I want to give a moment of silence for Mama Neil.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, because I know like even growing up, she was a mother to a lot of kids. A lot of us that was on the basketball teams, on your sister teams, like we made sure we did what we supposed to do because she wasn't playing, but she made sure that we were all doing what we supposed to do. So what does family mean to you, being that you grew up in that environment and you was underneath that roof of Mama Neil?
And family mean everything to me. I know I don't get up to Toledo a lot, just because I'm always in a better location. So I feel like if you got a chance to travel, why not come see me at my location versus me coming up there to that location? You're like, oh, you got everything that'll be right at your fingertips. But it was huge, man. My sister, my brothers, my adopted sister, my other sister, like we all were just tight. We were a tight group, like growing up in that house. Just was always tight. My grandmother kind of held it together. When she passed, my mom became that figurehead of the family, and she held it together. And then when
Yeah.
she passed, it was a rough time. It was a rough time when I lost my grandmother unexpectedly. I knew my mother was going to go just because her health was kind of failing and stuff like that. But it was still hard, even though it's coming. It's still hard to deal with, but you enjoy the time that you can with that person while they're here, and then
Yeah.
you just make the most of it. You try and whatever she instilled in me, I try and instill it into my nieces and nephews and everybody else. If it's a tough time, but like, hey, you can have it a lot worse. So we need to get past that.
Yeah, shout out to Sting, Christina, Nina. Shout out to her, man. I always say in prayer for her and the girls, and even with Mari being in there. So, you left home at 18. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. I
So,
actually I left at 18, and it was a week after I graduated. I left.
wow, were you ready to go? Like, what made you just want to change up what you was doing and say, I'm just about to leave. I'm about to go do this. I don't know how it's gonna look. I got faith. I'm going. Like, what was the motive behind you just leaving? Because you still had that summer to chill, relax, or whatever, but you seemed like you had a mission. What was going on during there?
So I actually graduated early. I graduated in January. So
Okay.
and I had enlisted. I did the delayed enlistment, so I already knew I was going. So I didn't want to waste any more time with school when I can get out there and hang with my friends and stuff like that, and just kind of do stuff that I wouldn't do during that summertime. So that's why I left right after graduation. I didn't want to take too much time in the summer to get in any kind of trouble. You know what I mean? While people in school, you can't hang out with them enough because they in school, they in class, but you off, so you can kind of do different things. So I just kind of got myself together, started working out to get ready for the fitness aspect of it. Although I was playing sports, so it wasn't too hard to get into shape to do it. And that's how it happened. A funny story is I had actually signed up to go into the army. Like the Army recruiter had caught me at the school in the cafeteria, and I had passed the test, but little did I know, uh, kids, when y'all take the test, to come into the military, everybody gets those results. So if your scores is high enough, the right people gonna come calling to you to get you to the place you want to be. And the Air Force recruiter called me up and said, "Hey man, your score is high enough to come into the Air Force." And I tried to tell him I'm already going into the Army, man. I don't want to mess up anything. But he flipped me. I went down to the office and started talking to him. It's just like being a college recruit. He flipped me. So I said I was going into the Air Force, and then the Army recruiter was still calling me. And then Mama Neal, she was like, "Hey, he going into the Air Force now." He was like, "Well, can I just talk to him real quick?" So I talked to him, and I told him it was. I still remember the name too. Crazy. I don't know how many years it's been. 94. Sergeant Glover was his name that he put me into the Air Force.
Yeah, shout out to my cousin, Sergeant Edwards. She just got another degree under her belt. She's in the Air Force as well. Was your family military, or what made you want to go into the military?
So my granddad, matter of fact, I'll send you some photos. My great granddad was in the Army. My granddad was in the Army. My uncle was in the Army, and my mom, she was in the Air Force Reserve, and then she had me, and then she had got out.
Wow.
Yeah, she did a little bit of everything. She played college basketball, and then she went into the reserves, and then she had got out. Yeah, she played college ball.
So that's where the sport's coming from. Wait till I talk this thing. That's where it's coming from. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Man. So how did your time in the Air Force, how did it shape you growing up into your personal life, into making you be the man that you are now? When you first got into it, was it some kind of adjustment, or how did you adjust?
Well, you still come in with like you come into the military. I tell you what, in the military, it still got the same thing that you got outside the military, right? But the people that make it are the people that come in with, a strong value system and stuff like that. And then once you get the Air Force values on top of that, it kind of starts shaping you up to get that career path. And I was always a person, I was never there. Um, like at the base that I was supposed to be at. Because anytime they said they needed a volunteer to do something, I raised my hand. Like I never sat on my hand. Like I got to my first base, it was Luke, Arizona, and I had called my mom because she came and visited me everywhere that I went. And a guy wanted to pay me $1,500 to switch with me to go to Wyoming because you can switch when you in tech school and stuff. You can switch your assignments. And I was like, I called my mom. She was like, "What am I gonna do in Wyoming, fool?" And I was like, "You know what? All right." Well, I went to Phoenix, Arizona. So I got there, and I got there October. I was in Saudi Arabia in November.
Mhm.
So then I came back from no, I went to Cuba. Cuba was the first place. So I went to Cuba in November because somebody didn't want to go. So I was like, I'll go. And then I came back. I was there for 2 months. It was another trip going to Saudi Arabia, Kobar Towers. Um, and somebody didn't want to go. I was like, I'll go. So that first year, I was actually at my base for maybe 2.5 months. And the whole rest of the year, they was rare. I didn't even have no stripes on my sleeves when I got to Cuba. Everybody thought I was in the army because they wear their rank on their collars. And since
Mhm.
I didn't have no stripes on my sleeves, they thought I was in the army. And so I got promoted when I was over there and got my little mosquito wing.
Yeah. Can you share some memorable experiences and challenges you faced during your military career?
The most memorable experiences was seeing my mom come visit me at all my locations. Because, people from Toledo don't get out of Toledo most
Yeah.
of the time, you know what I mean? And she was one person that wherever I was, she was come and visit me. And when I was in the Netherlands, she got her passport and she came over to Holland. And then we went to Germany and we went to Paris, and just to share that experience with her was probably the most memorable experience that I have right there. Just having that bond with her while we was over there. So that was a huge deal. And then some of the difficulties was the same, just how I traveled all over the place. I was in 26 years, and
Wow.
in that 26 years, I went to 13 different places. But that's 13 times you got to learn all new stuff, right? Because every place has their own thing that you got to pick up on. So that was probably a challenge too, just getting familiar with the areas, getting settled in. It was something that I like to do though.
Yeah. Well, what year did you retire?
I retired in 2020.
2020. Okay.
2020. That was my goal because I wanted to, because speaking of that, kind of just leads me into the business, right? Because with 2020 I had a vision, right? So
Oh,
you got the 2020 vision. That's like you got the best vision in the world. I wanted to retire in 2020 because I wanted to start something new. So I've made 2020 that year to do it, even though it was the COVID year, which was crazy, right? My retirement ceremony had got canceled. I was having a big blowout ceremony too. Like Christina was coming, like all the family was flying in, coming down, and we was just gonna do it. And then COVID put a pause to all that. And then I
man.
finally got a ceremony in June, but I retired in July.
Okay. So when did you decide that you wanted to do the car business? Did you always collect cars growing up? Like what made you do that?
Always we go back. Hey, we go back to mom. So, and like so she had me collecting cards when ever since I was little, right? And I always collected cards. Like it was something that we would do together. She liked her favorite team was the 49ers because she liked Joe Montana. And then when he went to Kansas City, she liked Kansas City. And then she was a big Bad Boys fan, Detroit basketball. She liked them a lot. And then that was she didn't really get into baseball too much, but basketball and football. So we was always collecting basketball and football cards, and we would put them in the binders and sleeve them up. And
Mhm.
funny thing, when I retired, I had went home before I retired, and every year when I was in the military, I would buy big boxes, right? Like the most expensive boxes I would buy every year, every year, every year. So and then sometimes I would buy multiple boxes. So remember the LeBron James rookie box that you could get at Kmart? It was 19.95 or something like that.
Mhm.
Fast forward to 2022, 2023, I sold those boxes for $700 a piece. I had them that long. They were sealed, still in the plastic. I never opened them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so what made me want to get into the car business is because when I was off, when you retire, you get 6 months off. Like you can get up to 6 months off. So I had about 4.5 months off. So I just started opening all the stuff that I had. And then I was sitting around looking, and I was sitting on the couch, and me and my wife was sitting there, and I looked over at her and I said, ain't no way. She was like, what? Like, if I died tomorrow, somebody would come in here and get everything that I got in that room for $250. Right? She was like, yeah, I would just say get rid of it. So I started doing card shows as a hobby while I was still getting paid by the military. And then I was still doing it for a hobby about a year after I got out because I wasn't making too much money on it. And I was just kind of, doing it to pull around. But then I linked into my business partners that I got now. And I started making too much money to hide. Like it was started, I started, I started,
Oh.
I started making too much money. I started making too much money. I had to account for it. I was like, I was about to get taxed. I wasn't reaping no benefits of being a licensed business. So I got licensed so I can take advantage of all the tax breaks that you get, like with the travel, with the setting up for tables, with all the different things. So that's why I decided to do that. But if I never opened them boxes up, I would have never knew what I had. And I had to take my wife to a couple shows too. So
Mhm.
she knew what I had. And when I do pass, she'd be like, no, ain't nobody getting this for 250. She gonna do a little research and try and sell it for that.
Yeah, did anything that you learned, any skills, trait, or anything when you were in the service, did it help you to influence you and help you to be able to properly run your entrepreneurship, being that
Oh
you got your
yeah,
own business and brand?
definitely. Like I deal with just that dedication and being able to press forward when times is hard too. You know what I mean? It's a
Mhm.
transferable skill that you have, just like building that what you call resiliency in
Yeah.
that process, right? The stuff that you go through in life helps you learn from, and then it can help you throughout your business. But I also handled the when I got like before I was just kind of out there deploying and stuff, but I got to a point in my military career where I handled the budget, right? And I looked at the cost of goods and so on and so forth. And then when I got out, I actually got my entrepreneurship master's degree from the University of Tampa.
Okay.
So I didn't even know it was a degree. So I learned more stuff about I learned
Yeah.
more stuff about it too. So that helped as well. And it's and the stuff, your attention to detail, right? Showing up when you don't want to show up, because in the
Yeah.
military you got to show up, right? And then with work you got to show up. No matter what you're doing, like with your podcast, man, you getting it on the Stool Talk, you putting it out there, you putting it out there. Imagine if you didn't want to do it. Like today, the Bills lost, the Bucks lost. Say you just wanted to cancel it and do it some other time, but then something come up and we all never get together. So
Yeah.
that dedication to keep going, and even though if you don't want to do it, you got to put your mask on and get out there.
Yeah. How did it feel for you to see Mari, like when he all over the world running and scoring 6 touchdowns, making spectacular plays? How did that feel being that you into sports and you seeing, him do it at a high level worldwide?
Man, that was wonderful. My dog's about to bark too because my wife just showed up. They ain't barking yet, but I feel like one of them about to bark. Like she looking. They both looking. But I feel, man, I was so happy, like going to those games and
Yeah.
cheering for him and everything like that. He used to come down in the summertime when he
Yeah,
went.
he'd tell me because he said, I'm going through your way. I'm going to see Unc. I'm gonna be up in Tampa.
Yeah, yeah. So he would no, when I lived in Dayton too when I was stationed
Oh,
there.
okay.
Quiet down. Hey, hey. Good thing this is editable.
Yeah.
All right, they good.
Yeah.
They got the first barks out. But he would come to Dayton, and in the summer we would just do workout plans and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I would just work him out, and I would have him drinking protein because he used to be like, "Man, I want to get put on about 10 pounds of muscle." So we'll finish working out, and I'd be like, "Drink that down," and we'll drink it down. But it was, man, just to see him doing good and doing everything. I brag on him all the time. I brag on all them kids all the time.
And then like what you even said, you graduating with early. That's just like how Heaven, Veve, and like Sky, how all them gonna be then graduated early because they grade so good and they taking advance. So it's going down from generation to generation to just to see them, and they love them some you too, because they always be talking about you. That's good to see that you and know that they got you in their corner and you motivating them as well.
Yeah, I always got their back. Anytime they need me for something, I mean, I might not be there, but I can get stuff there if you need it or whatever. So I'm
Yeah.
always proud of, like, every last one of them, every last one of them.
Yeah.
Chris, kid, all nieces and nephews, I'm proud of.
Can you speak about discipline? Because I know discipline is a major thing in the armed forces, but a lot of kids, a lot of the youth lack discipline, and so that causes them to stray away from different things that they go to. What is discipline to you, and what did you learn by having to have discipline all the years you've been in the service?
It's just discipline kind of sets you on the right path, man. It makes sure that you're doing what you should be doing at all times. It makes sure that you handling the business that need to be handled at all times, because that even if you worked out, right, you got to have discipline to work out. We had to do physical fitness tests once a year. You know it's coming, or if you ain't good enough, it's every 6 months. And you got to
Yeah.
have discipline to get out there and pass that test, right? If you want to get promoted, and you got 6 months to do it. Ain't like it's a pop quiz and we're gonna take you out to the track tomorrow and tell you to run the 2.5 miles, or we're gonna have you do so many push-ups. You know it's coming. So if you ain't got the discipline to pass that, you already lacking in certain areas, right? You got test evaluations that you got to do to be able to work, like to do this. We had to fire weapons. Now you ain't gonna get out there and go test fire weapons all the time, but you can be disciplined enough that to be ready to do it, to know the procedure. So that's huge too. And I think your parents kind of set you up on that path too. Like if you got it coming in, then you're gonna have it. It's gonna be even better. Now if you I see people struggle that never had discipline, right? When parents is raising their kids as their friends, then you're gonna have to parent them as a grown up. But if you're raising them as a parent as when they're younger, then they can be your friends when they grown,
Yeah.
right? It's a whole different thing, and that's the same thing you do. So I was substitute teaching um,
Mm.
before before I started the cards, because I wanted to try everything. So I started substitute teaching while I was dabbling in the cards as a hobby, because I wanted to find like something to do. And I was very passionate about it, and I like, uh, telling the kids and teaching the kids. But I got to the point where it felt like I was raising the kids at school.
Mm,
So they weren't coming to school with any foundation. So instead of me trying to teach them how to multiply and stuff like that, I'm doing corrective actions and then just kind of telling them about different things. Now, when I was substituting in high school, that wasn't a problem, right? They knew what they had to do, and if they wanted to talk about life, because we would talk about entrepreneurship and stuff like that in the high school classes and stuff.
mm,
So that was a different story. But at that, when I was in the elementary schools and the fourth and fifth grades, I felt like I was doing too much parenting and not enough teaching. So that's when I just uh, decided to step away from it.
yeah. Man, that's very good. And like you said, foundation is everything in business, in relationship, and life, having a solid foundation. Um, do you have famous people, athletes, or whatever come to your shop? Have you got to that yet? Is that something you're looking to do?
No, when we go, so I don't have a physical shop. I just go to travel around to different shows, uh,
Okay,
and I
okay.
try and do 2 shows a month at least. And it's a show where we get different athletes and stuff like that. I got some pictures where D Brown came to my table, Joe Horn came to my table, um, and you see Jimmy Hart and a bunch of different wrestlers and stuff like
Mm,
that. Because I like WWF when I was growing up,
yeah.
so to see the Bushwhackers and stuff like that, they'll come by. But I do more than cards, so I got posters, I got Funkos, and I got stuff like that. So when they come to do autographs, I go up there and I talk to them. I say, "Hey, man, just for coming out and sharing your time with us, I'm gonna let you come over there and pick any one of these posters that you want. If you got Christmas or something coming up, they cool posters, just go ahead and grab one, and I just saying thank you. And they would come over and say thank you. And it's been a couple times after D Brown, he tagged me in a post because he gave a Garugu, a Baby Yoda poster to his son and said his
Mhm.
son love it or whatever. So, and then they'll tag me on the Instagram stories and stuff like that when we kind of go through. So that's always pretty cool.
That's dope. What's the since you do multiple sports, what's the like top cards and players and or even athletes that you done had, whether it's a wrestling card, poster, or whether it's the football, basketball, or even baseball card?
I think the top card, so I got some cards coming in right now because I'll get some graded and then I'll do the different things. But I stopped going after the younger guys just because it's too many variables with them. You know what I mean? You got to like you pour $5,000 into a person, and then all of a sudden they get suspended or this, that, the other. Like the card goes down. So
Yeah.
what I did do, I picked up some Derek Jeter autographs that's coming in. Some Ken Griffey. I love Ken Griffey. He's coming in as well, and then a bunch of clean cut guys like Mahomes and stuff like that. So you got some of those guys coming in that's pretty cool. And as far as it was a DJ, Steve Aoki. Uh, he came to one of the shows, and I told him, I'm like, hey man, can you come over here and sign a box for me? He's like, what box? I was like, it's your box. I was the only one in the entire show that had his Steve Aoki. He did a thing with Tops, like partner with them. He
Yeah.
had that box. So he came and took a picture and we just chopped it up for a minute. So everybody was trying to buy the box from me too after that. I was like, no, I'm keeping it. It's in my office, just sitting up
Mhm.
there.
So is it still tops Fleer? Is Fleer still a card?
You got older Fleer models, but the main groups are you got Tops, Panini, and Upper Deck.
Upper Deck, yeah,
Yeah,
Upper
Upper
Deck.
Deck does some different cards as well. They mainly hockey though.
Which car used to have a gold trim and it used to be black and they had just had them image of whatever they doing in the game. It used to be gold on the outside and black on the inside.
I want to say that was Skybox.
Okay,
Skybox
yeah.
went through a couple different variations,
Wow.
and some of those cars still hit. But the problem is they printed so many of them back in the day. It was called the junk wax era, right? So it
Okay.
was just like people don't really value them as much. But if you still get the top players like Jordan, uh, you know, Gary Payton, if he's signing them and stuff like that, some Shaquille O'Neals and everything, you still gonna have decent value in the cards.
Yeah. And I remember it used to be a reflective one, like a hologram on some of them
Oh,
too.
they still got the holograms.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Yeah, they still got the holograms. The hollows, those go hard on any product. If you can get them, then you can get them. The people love them.
Yeah. Can you speak to the youth about entrepreneurship and what it takes and just give them some encouragement on it if they're looking to go into that?
All right, yeah. So if you're looking to go into entrepreneurship, matter of fact, I had this conversation with a kid that was 16 years old in high school when I was teaching, and he said, "Mr. L, if your kid wanted to drop out of school and start their own business, would you let him?" And I told him, absolutely not. So we got in a whole debate, right? Because they didn't know the value of money. But as a kid, you don't need as much because you got a lot of other people providing for you. So what you can do is while you're in high school is like learn that craft, be good at that craft, and then once you get out, launch that craft. However, I'll say this: if you got an opportunity, you got to be able to take advantage of it, right? That's the difference between successful people and unsuccessful people. Most of the time, they don't recognize the opportunity and they're not capable of taking advantage of it at the time. So, if you want to start a business, first get licensed, right? Get licensed. And if you don't want to get licensed, you want to treat it as a hobby, like just like I did, right? I started as a hobby and then I got licensed, right? Once the money starts coming in, you got to report that stuff because you don't want to Wesley Snipes it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You don't want to, they might not know who Wesley Snipes is, but you look it up.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
don't want to do that. So you get a license, you start as a hobby and you just learn it, right? If you're going to do something, do that one thing and be good at it. Because a lot of times when you start getting scatterbrained, I only deal with baseball, basketball, football, no tennis, no hockey, no, like I don't know, no Pokemon, no whatever, Lorcana, no One Piece, none of the anime, no trading, no TCGs, no trading card games, right? I only deal with those three. Now, if I come across the opportunity and I do the research on it and one of those cards land in my head for 20 bucks, it's worth 150, I'm gonna buy it. I'm not gonna know too much about it, but I'm gonna know that card is 150. So you
yeah,
don't want to be scatterbrained all over the place. Focus on that one thing that you do well and do it well, right? You focus on that, do it well, and you'll be good to go. And then look up the licensing process for wherever you at. Like if you're watching it in Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, everybody has a process that you got to do it, and then know who we got to pay in taxes, right?
yeah.
An entrepreneurs, the program, a master's program. This is a master's degree program. I got a business. There's other people in there got a business. There's one dude ain't paying no state taxes the whole time he been running his business. I
Mm.
said, you going to jail.
Um,
I don't know if he ever got it right, but I told him, I was like, you're going to have to make up for, I don't know how long you've been operating your business, but it's a penalty and a fine for each time, each quarter that you miss, right? And
yeah,
I don't do quarterly because the money that I paid was too much. I got to do monthly state taxes, but everybody want to cut. Like
yeah,
the state wants some, the county wants some, the property appraiser wants some. You got to know all these people that you got to pay, and then the federal group wants some too. So uh, when you're doing it, just don't spend it. You got to have to find a way to budget your money, and you don't really need to get an accountant unless you're making over 80,000 a year. You know, what you start getting up there close to 100, then you might need somebody to manage your money. But if you just have 50, 40, 30, like if you're just starting out, that's something that you can manage yourself, but you got to keep track of everything.
so what if you one year you make a whole bunch and the next couple years you don't really make that much? You still got to pay the same taxes or is each year?
No, each year it varies. It varies,
Okay.
right? So it depends on how profitable. And one thing I say this for people starting a business, the IRS and anybody else that's coming after you for taxes, not even coming after you, just they want their hands in the pocket or whatever. Uh, your first 2 to 3 years, they expect you to not be profitable. It's a
Yeah.
lot of things people don't know. I don't think Uber is profitable. and they've been operating for a long time.
You said Uber, the car thing?
Uber, the company Uber, I don't think they're profitable yet.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's some companies that take losses all the times, right? It's just how they take those losses, and how they budget it out. I mean, they still got to pay some taxes here and there, and I think they put all their money in the electric vehicles, those EVs, and that's
Mhm.
what kind of made them fall flat. But um, you know, and if you selling something, you got to pay tax on it. But if you selling a service like if people are hiring you to come out and do podcasts and talk to people and stuff like that, that money, since
Mhm.
that's a service and not an item, you don't have any sales tax on
Mm. Man, you just taught me something.
that.
$1 million question. What do you do to make sure that you getting, they're like when you pour out to people and you doing your work, even being a family, what do you do to maintain your energy and to maintain what you want to do as far as having time for yourself? How do you make time for yourself when you got so much going on to make sure that you charged up?
You got to put it on the calendar. You got
Mhm.
you got to schedule that time, right? So you look at the calendar, you kind of go through. It's kind of blurry right now, but you schedule that time for what you want to do.
Yeah.
Next week we got a big parade. It's with the third largest parade in the United States. You got
Wow.
Macy's Day Parade, and then you got the Rose Bowl, and then you got Gasparilla. It's like a pirate parade, right? It
Mhm.
was a show in Atlanta that with a company that I'm partnered with and work with. And I started working with them. I do part time accounting for him because he didn't have his persons leaving, but they wanted me to go there with them. But it's a culture collision that's in Atlanta. But I know next month I'm gonna be going a lot, and in order to balance that family time, I said no because me and the wife is gonna go down and dress like pirates for that weekend, have a good time. So you got
Yeah.
to schedule that time in there.
Yeah. Wow. That's good, man. Well, we thank you, man, for joining us, man, and being a part of this time is something that you can't get back. So the fact that you even on here talking your journey, speaking the facts, and giving inspiration, man, is very appreciative.
Nah, man, I appreciate you asking me to come on. I seen my nieces on there. I'm like, man, when I'm gonna get a little shine on Stool
Yeah,
Talk, when I'm gonna get
yeah.
on there.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it though, man. You doing good things, man, and I just wish blessings on you and the family and even in your business that it grow and whatever, you set your heart to that it comes to fruition.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Same to you, man. No problem.
Yeah, yeah. When I'm down that way, we gotta connect, man. It's
Absolutely.
I'm gonna try to make my way down there, man. Schedule me a day off too.
Yeah, you got to. You got to pencil it in, man. Hey, you know what? Your whole year should be planned already. That's another thing. That's one piece of advice, right? If you this year and half of next year should already be planned because you want to be looking to the future, right? You don't want to plan for it the month of. So if you already got stuff built out, you're gonna do it because it's already on the list.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. You right. You right. You right. And like you said, make a calendar and start writing stuff down. My mom just sent me a calendar, a big one, so I can write stuff down. And I'm gonna start using a notebook too because I feel like that can help too. Even for me and the missus, she'll know what I got going on. I know we just look at the calendar. This was going on today.
Yep, I normally leave it on the kitchen island in there and kind of have it
Okay.
flipped over so she can see it too, and we all can be on the same page. And then she can write some stuff in there. She got a hair appointment on Wednesday or something, so I see that's coming. Or
Yeah.
got a doctor's appointment, so we can all balance each other stuff together.
Yeah. How do like you said they had you doing the accounting stuff, so you can do major stuff. So is it easy to do like your own house or like other people's stuff as far as like putting budget and stuff, being that you have done it from a bigger, wider thing?
So I just started with this company
Okay.
here, but for myself, I was horrible. I'm still horrible at it, really. Like I'll do my taxes on the last day, and up until that day, I'm still hunting my receipts down and everything, trying to account for everything.
Really?
However, I'm getting better at it by working with theirs. So I use QuickBooks, and
Okay.
they use QuickBooks. They use a heavier version for it because it's like they bring in way more money than I do. When I partner with these cats, and it's crazy how much money they bring in. But for myself, I don't, a little here, a little there. I can kind of do it in budget, and QuickBooks is good too because it has an app for travel. And since I travel all over the place, I can just put in when I'm leaving and then stop it. So it kind of tracks it that way. So uh, it's QuickBooks would be a good way to kind of do it, and you can sync it to your bank account too.
Okay.
So you sync it to your bank account. So when you spending money on it, it'll see, and then when money's going in on it, you can see it too. And you could just use that as your business foundation just to kind of get started. And I think QuickBooks, I don't know, I think it might be 50 something. No, I think mine's is a little bit cheaper. I don't know how. I think it might be 30 bucks. So you get a trial 6 months for 15 bucks, and then it's 30 bucks a month. And if you're making 30 bucks a month, it's well worth it. Like and it's a write-off because that's
Okay.
the expense for your business, right? So even though it's 30 bucks, you can write that off at the end of the year. So that just kind
Different
of gets lumped in.
Yeah, different people be asking me about that, and I know this girl that I work with. She said the same thing too. She deal with finances, but she said with her, she last minute too, and she's saying like she has so much stuff going on, but that's work, that's a job, so it's kind of different.
Yeah. I mean, everything, I know where everything's at. Like I got desk full of receipts and stuff like that. And then this is my 2023 calendar that I had here. And then I put down all the venues that I go to, and then the days that I travel on it too. I don't know if you can see if it shows good on the camera, but I put all that stuff in there. And then what I'll do is I'll make an invoice for that. Like I'll say who I paid for the show, how much I paid for the show, and the mileage that I traveled to and from the show. So if
Okay.
I do get audited or anything, I can just print that out and then show them that.
Yeah, that's organized. Yeah, you do got it. You do got it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, man. So yeah, I appreciate this, man. I'm gonna edit it, get it together, and post it and tag and share you, man. Put this out. We can be helpful to people. It was great information, great knowledge, and a great time. We was able to get caught up. But I definitely will be in touch with you.
I appreciate it, and I'll send you some pictures. I think I got some military pictures of my granddad and stuff like that.
Okay.
Some show pictures and my uncle. So I got multiple different pictures. Sorry, my dog want to chew on the bone. Anytime she want to chew this bone, wherever you at, as soon as you start talking, she just want to chew on the bone. Like just listen. You hear
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah. All right, man. I'll be in touch.
All right.
All
I'll
right.
talk to you later.
Yeah.